Well, it looks like all my hard work at MCTV has paid off because it got me noticed, and now I've been invited to be the moderator for the very first presidential debate. It's truly a dream come true. Well, without further ado, because I know you're all waiting, let's introduce the candidates. President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. Well, gentlemen, let's get this show started, huh?
Let people know you're a senator. I'm not going to answer the question.
Guys, please, one at a time.
The Supreme Court Justice, radical left. Will you shut up, man? Listen, who is on your list, Joe?
Vice President Biden, is it true that you and Bernie were so close that you had to decide who the Democratic candidate was based on a 1v1 match in Call of Duty?
The fact of the matter is, I beat Bernie Sanders.
Not by much.
I beat him a whole hell of a lot. I'm here standing facing you, buddy.
Pocahontas would have left 2 days early. You would have lost every
Pocahontas, is that Elizabeth Warren's gamer tag?
I don't wear a mask like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask. He could be speaking 200 feet away from it. He shows up with the biggest mask I've ever seen.
You just lost the left. Already has cost 10 million people their health care that they had from their employers because of his decision. And by the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it. This is the same man.
That was said sarcastically, and you know that.
Wait, that was sarcasm?
This man is talking about a vaccine. Well, it's hard to get any word in with this clown.
Hey, come on, man. That could be offensive to actual clowns.
Excuse me.
Hey, let me just say,
guys, come on. One at a time. You both agreed to 2 minutes, uninterrupted.
And you said he's xenophobic. He's a racist, and he's xenophobic.
I'm way far away from those other people.
Gentlemen,
I can't. I'm going to be okay.
Gentlemen,
he's not worried about you. He's
can
not worried about
I?
people out there breathing in one another.
We've had no negative
effect.
No negative effect. We've had no negative effect. And we've had 35, 40,000 people.
All right, I'm done.
Just quickly finish
Yeah, I don't know why I wanted to do
Yes,
this.
I would. He's been totally irresponsible the way in which he has handled the social distancing and people wearing masks.
They're still going. They don't even care.
Encouraging
All right,
not
bye.
to. And so you take a look at what he's actually done. He's done very little. His trade deals are the same way. He talks
and
about these great
pre-recorded
trade
from
deals.
Mayor's College.
He talks about
This
the
is
art of the
Studio A.
deal. China's perfected the art of the steal. We have a higher deficit with China.
Welcome to Studio A, MCTV's original variety show, starring Tyler McGuigan, Maggie Roach, Val Cervello, Abby Forrester, Dulcie Beauregard, and Ayeka Lauderdale. Tonight's trending topics panel, Charlie Hannon and Zach Boudreau. And our special guest, Ani Stein. Now please welcome your host, Tyler McGuigan.
Wasn't that cold open better than SNL's? Anyway, I think we can all agree that first debate was an absolute train wreck. I doubt either candidate gained new voters from that, and I have to say, though, that it was easily the most entertaining presidential debate I've ever seen. I had a bowl of popcorn with me when I was watching it. I felt like I was watching a sitcom. However, the more you think about it, the more depressing it is that this is the state of our country. We now have to choose between two old guys who are well past their prime. If it were up to me, I'd have Ace Watkins for president. Who's that, you may ask? Well, he's the first ever gamer presidential candidate, and he's what this country needs. He's the only candidate that doesn't look sus and is willing to do his tasks. We need a president that won't spend most of his term AFK. We need a G-tracing gaming chair in that Oval Office. We need a president that will finally get Half-Life 3 released. We need a president who will ban microtransactions in our video games. We don't need a president that plays solo. We need one that plays for the squad. We need a medic who can heal this country and bring its citizens together. So whatever you do, don't vote to skip this election. In other news, President Trump tested positive for coronavirus shortly after the first debate. It was only a matter of time before this happened. It's funny, Marist College looks like they're handling the COVID so much better now that they're doing better than the damn White House. Hopefully, the president will recover in time for the next debate so we can have some good old-fashioned entertainment. Well, let's move on with the show now. We have another special guest with us, whom I will be interviewing. Stay tuned to find out who that is. Plus, we have a new episode of Cribz and the MCTV game show Spectacular with the wonderful Maggie Roach. And we have a very special panel tonight. My good friends Zach and Charlie will be joining us again. So stay tuned for some awesome goodness that this episode will bring. Joining us tonight, we have a very special interview with the one and only Ani Stein. Ani Stein is not only the technical director at MCTV, but she is also an artist who has created some stunning paintings. Welcome, Ani.
Thank you so much for having me and for the kind introduction.
Oh, well, thank you for coming here tonight. Now tell me, when did you start painting?
From a young age, I had always tried to get myself involved with all aspects of the arts, but it really wasn't until recently in quarantine where I started to explore the painting aspect in the arts, because I found that it was harder to correct mistakes that were made along the ways, and whereas with writing or drawing, you can make changes easily. But I learned during quarantine that it's okay to have imperfections in your paintings because that's what makes it unique, and that's the beauty of art.
Nice, nice. I think it was Bob Ross or somebody that says something like, "There are no mistakes, just happy accidents."
Happy accidents, yes.
Well, what inspires your painting?
I like to find inspiration in everyday life, to just focus on a particular concept and to run with it and to build off of that idea and express it through whatever emotions I'm feeling on that particular day. So yeah.
Why did you start your Instagram account, Zendegi Art? And why is it called Zendegi Art?
I'm glad you asked. So Zendegi Art, Zendegi in the Farsi Persian language is life. And I like to, like I mentioned before, to incorporate the emotional aspect of life, just everything that life has to offer, and to embrace it. So that's why it's called Zendegi Art. And I decided to make a platform on Instagram because I wanted to have a particular space for my work and for people to be able to browse through, and if they wanted to purchase, that's where they can find it. So it was easily accessible. Over quarantine, I would post here and there on my personal social media platforms some paintings, and I had some people respond to it saying that they liked to see my work, and some even wanted to have their own piece for themselves. So Instagram seemed like the most convenient way to go.
Awesome. What made you pick the Navajo Water Project to donate some of your proceeds to?
Because of the pandemic and everything that happened, some people got hit harder than others.
Right.
And as I was doing research on what organization to contribute to, since my initial hopes in Zendegi Art was to give back somehow, and I came across the Navajo Water Project, and learning that 1 in 3 of the Navajo Nation do not have access to clean water or indoor plumbing, which is something that we all have easy accessibility to, and something that we might take for granted. And to be able to help be the change in that and to close the water gap in any way was something that I really wanted to be a part of.
Well, thank you. I think that's very honorable of you
Thank
to
you.
do that. That was very selfless. Well, thank you so much, Ani, for joining me tonight. Be sure to check out Ani's art on Instagram at @ZendeggyArt. I, for one, have bought one of your paintings, and it's amazing. It's a really good. It's a nice beach painting that I hang right in front of my desk, so I look at it when I'm working.
Thank you. That means a lot.
It's a nice, peaceful view. It's so beautiful. Next, I'll chat with our panel about what's new and trending. Stay tuned. Joining us tonight to talk all things trending, we have Zachary Boudreau and Charlie Hannon. What is up, guys?
Not much, Tyler. Not much. Living the dream.
You guys are matching right now.
Yeah. What? Where's your vest, huh?
I didn't bring one to school. So all right, let's move on. Let's move into the panel right now. Our first topic is actually going to be about Joe Rogan. With Joe Rogan moving on to Spotify now. He's a Spotify. His podcast is exclusive to Spotify now, but there has been some controversy surrounding it. Couple of his past episodes, mainly with conservative right-wing guests like Alex Jones and I think Jordan Peterson was one of them. They've been missing. They did not move those over to Spotify, and Joe Rogan said some false information on a recent podcast about people starting fires in I think it was Oklahoma or something, but he eventually corrected himself. But now there's a couple of Spotify employees demanding that they either they either get to edit his past episodes before they upload him, B, have total control over what guests he brings on to his podcast, or C, they put a trigger warning in front of his episodes, and they also reference links to sources to kind of fact check some information that he says on podcasts. And if they don't do that, then they're gonna walk out. They're staging a walkout. So there's a lot to unpack here. What do you guys have to say about all this?
Well, to me, it sounds like censorship, which it's a very polarizing subject. Sometimes censorship is good, sometimes it's bad. I think in this case it's bad. I think if you try to censor specifically Joe Rogan in any way whatsoever, that kind of erases some of the legitimacy to his podcast, which, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the biggest podcast in the world right now, right?
Yeah. Pretty much, he's the number one podcaster in the world.
Yeah.
He's the most famous one.
And I think it's his genuineness, if that's a word, that makes that so. And I think if you try to censor that, if you try to remove the genuineness of it, it won't be the same. And I understand that, Spotify they have their authority because, it's his podcast through them now, but they're mixing it up, and that's not, I'm against it. Whatever happens.
Okay. What about you, Zach?
So personally, I agree with Charlie. This is definitely censorship, I think, in the worst way possible. However, you do have to consider that Spotify is its own platform that has its own rules. Other platforms have such a thing, like YouTube or TikTok. If you post something about COVID on TikTok, it goes, learn the facts about COVID right at the bottom. So, I don't think that this is anything new, but preventing certain guests from being on that show is definitely censorship, I think, in the worst way possible. It's because Joe Rogan invites these, questionable guests or guests that will cause, a riot, that makes his podcast the number one in the show. And you watch some of them, and they actually try to have an engagement before things get out of control, which is a classic Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
But I again, I have to say, I agree with Charlie. That this is censorship in, I think, the worst way. However, Spotify is entitled to certain rights. It's a platform that has its own rules, that has its own engagement. Twitter's doing, the same thing with having guidelines for, say, COVID. If you post something incorrect about COVID, they have a right to take it down.
It is a little questionable that this whole controversy is happening after he already made the move to Spotify, after they already made the deal and everything. You would think that this stuff would have come up before he made the decision to go to Spotify. You feel like they would have hashed these things out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. And
you continue.
Joe Rogan, obviously Joe Rogan, way before Spotify picked him up, has done some crazy stuff. He had Elon Musk on there, and they were smoking weed. Come on. You have to admit that when you're a company like Spotify and you're ready to purchase a famous podcast or something to get the license for, you have to do some research. And, this obviously wasn't something that just, people randomly decided to get upset about. They had to have voiced concerns before, which I think I find strange that they're just doing it now. Whether it be a publicity stunt or just something that they just now decided to get upset about, I find a little strange.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? To sum it all up, I agree with both of you. I think this is kind of censorship at its worst. I do think Joe Rogan should have a lot of creative freedom when it comes to his own show, especially since he's the biggest podcaster out there. While yes, Spotify does have its rules and they have every right to implement them, to be honest, I don't even think Joe Rogan really needs Spotify. He could really just go independent if he wanted to. He'd still be big. I think this whole thing will blow over soon. I don't even think it's anybody of real importance at Spotify who's stirring up this controversy. It might just be a couple disgruntled employees. I don't think anyone big at Spotify is trying to censor Joe Rogan. But to be fair, it is a little questionable that some of his episodes are missing. When he sometimes those episodes where he brings on those very controversial guests, those are some of the most entertaining episodes, like the one with Alex Jones. But yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. Next up, we have our Cribz segment. This week, Dulcie Beauregard will give us a tour of the famous Archway House in Lower Fulton. Roll the clip. Don't know if I said that name right.
TV. I'm Dulcie Beauregard.
I'm Michael Lauderdale.
And welcome to our crib. Come on in. On the first floor above the stairs, we have 4 bedrooms and a bathroom. The bathroom has double sinks. We have a nice shower. We also have a sea theme going on, as you'll see in here. You come on in, there's blues, and it says part-time mermaid. So this is my room, room 1 in Archway, so I'll take you inside for a peek. As you can see, I love Halloween, so I've already started to decorate. Got my little skeleton buddy here, my door knocker. Okay, so come on in. I'll show you everything in here. So first I'll show you, these are just pictures of my friends and I and my family. I've got a globe, I've got candy. As you can see, I have a projector in here, which I love to use, so that wall is pretty blank most of the time during the day. This is my bed. This is my desk setup, if you'd like to come over and see it. This is my favorite thing on the desk because I love it, and it's a pumpkin. Yes. These are some artworks I have. I love bands, so I made this little shelf for myself. This I got in Hawaii with my good friend Ayaka Lauderdale, who you've met. And now I'll show you the closet space. For those of you who have not seen closets in full in, it's pretty roomy, but I've got a lot of stuff in there.
Hey guys, I'm showing to the kitchen and dining room. Follow me. So this is our Waitress poster. Waitress is actually one of my favorite musicals. I went to see it, so I bought a poster. We hang it up here. So this is our dining room. As you can see, we have a round table. And over here we have a futon bed that one of our housemates, Sam, brought over. And then we have some Halloween decorations, some ghosts, and a pillow, and an ukulele right here if someone wants to play or something. And then as we go over here,
We have our movable pantry and our beautiful Harry Styles wall in honor of the great Harry Styles.
okay, as we go more into the dining room, we have our recycling bin right here and a calendar. So today is October 8th, so happy National Pierogi Day. And as we go in, as you can see, this is the entrance to the third floor, is that right? And over here we have our question of the day. Today's question is, what is your favorite part of the s'more? Mine is the burnt marshmallow. And over here we have some of our housemates. There's Amanda over there and Eleanor.
Hello, fancy seeing you here.
So some of the things we have our Polaroids up here. We're grabbing our favorite food items.
Over here, we have our picture of Chase from Lab Rats. All right, now we're gonna show you guys Amanda's room because it's set up a bit differently than mine. Come follow.
Here's my room, getting ready for the Halloween spirit. So here's my room. I have a nice tapestry, some photos of family and friends from home in here, and then some sunflowers just when I'm feeling lonely, just to brighten up my day.
This is my best friend, Mr. Pumpkin.
Excuse me?
All right, now we're gonna show you guys the bathroom on the third floor, which is very similar to the first floor. Same setup, 4 bedrooms on this floor and a bathroom.
This is our final room, the living room. Come on.
So as I've said before, this house is different than the other Fulton houses. So our living room is on the 4th floor, but most other houses do not have that.
So over here we have our little palm tree. It matches with the green vibe the lights are giving us.
We also have some nice foxes set up over here because, you know, we love Maris. And a graveyard on this wall because that's really cute and goes with the Halloween vibe.
And usually when we come up here, we usually have like a homework party or we watch movies. But sometimes we like to chill and vibe while Lily plays the piano for us.
So that beautiful music played by the lovely Lily Link was a perfect segue into this Kylo Ren poster that I brought because we love Kylo Ren in this house.
We also love Edward Thomas. He lives here forever. And also, over here is our Maris music wall. A lot of the members of this house is part of the music program, so we just wanted to show our spirit in some ways. And over here are just some random posters and tapestries as well.
Thanks for watching! Hit that thumbs up button and like and subscribe.
And we're back with our second part of the panel. Now we're going to move on to movie theaters. Now we talked a little bit, for those of you that watched our last episode, we did talk a little bit about movie theaters and when they will possibly reopen. But there has been some new some new parts to the story that I didn't even know about. So apparently the Roosevelt Theater, like, a couple minutes down the road from Marist, has been fighting hard and has been actively like protesting New York and its governor for purposefully keeping movie theaters closed when there have been, I believe, like 47 other states have opened them up. And recently, they actually staged a protest inside their theater. I think they even stayed within the guidelines. They maxed it out at 50 people, and I think they spread them all out in one of their theaters. But this whole debacle is really, I don't know, it's interesting. Because on the one hand, I do agree with this theater chain, like, if all these other states, like even New Jersey, which was also pretty hit bad, they're starting to open up theaters too, and they're being very safe. They have hand sanitizing stations. They're spreading people out. Everyone has to wear masks. I don't even know if they're selling food there. It's a little questionable. I can understand if like New York City doesn't open them up, but like New York State as a whole, I think we're okay to like open them back up now, at least some theaters. But what do you guys think? What do you guys make of this whole debacle?
So, enforcing people to wear masks is impossible.
It's been hard.
Trust me, yeah, it has. It has been hard. And I don't think any state can successfully do that unless you have people standing inside every single movie theater, fucking staring people down like, mask up. Come on. And personally, there's a global pandemic right now. I don't think that we should really be focusing on getting people into movie theaters. I think we can take this opportunity to promote like drive-in movie theaters, et cetera, et cetera. Now, don't get me wrong, like movie theaters that don't have the capability to make a drive-in theater happen. Obviously, they're taking a huge economic impact like everyone else is right now. And I think that's, it's almost inevitable. But then I think if the government's going to step in and prevent them from opening up, there needs to be some kind of financial aspect as well. At least that's my personal stance on it. If you're hurting a business, you need to support it somehow.
I agree. What about you, Zach?
Look, I want movie theaters to open up as much as the next person. I want to see Tenet in theaters. I want to see all these great films that are coming out this year and next year. But a lot of movies have already been delayed. Even if you open up now, what are you going to show? And right now, I'm looking at like numbers, and Dutchess County alone is experiencing a rise in these COVID cases daily. We haven't even hit our second wave of this pandemic yet, and yet people still want to buy popcorn and sit down and sit in a movie theater where anyone can just take off their mask in the dark so that they can watch a movie. Streaming services do exist. You can watch a bunch of there's tons of movies. Watch The Princess Bride for all I care. But there are tons of other movies I guarantee you haven't seen that you would enjoy just as much on your couch than in a movie theater. Yes, movie theaters offer a different kind of, feeling when you're watching a movie, but, go to a drive-in theater. That's what I did, and I love drive-in theaters. And it reduces my risk of getting COVID from other people, and it reduces my ability to transmit the disease to other people. Now, it's not the time to think about movie theaters. We gotta just focus on getting this country healthier so that you can go to movie theaters without even wearing a mask or without hand sanitizer. It's not something that we should be worrying about right now.
Just to argue with Zach, you can't have a second wave if you never get over the first wave. It's just facts.
I agree, Charlie, but there's a good chance that everyone will just smarten up and stay home. I mean, everyone stays home when there isn't, a pandemic, but the second a pandemic hits, everyone wants to go out for a run.
I started running.
We can't just stay inside for a couple of months. Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I think it's about time to wrap it up now. Personally, I mean, I know some friends that like back home in New Jersey that have been to a couple theaters, and they say it's pretty much empty. Like even the theaters that are open, there's like nobody there. Like the people that I know who saw Tenet said they were the only ones in the theater. So I mean, if that's the case, then there really isn't much of a risk. But I guess it gets more of a problem when you get more and more people that want to go. And they pretty much have delayed every other movie that was going to come out this year. They pretty much delayed it. Like I know James Bond just got delayed, and that caused like a whole like a clashback from Regal Cinemas that said that they're suddenly like shutting down a bunch of theaters due to like the delay. Um, but yeah, so I mean, you're right. If they did open them up, like, what are we gonna see? Tenet's the only thing out right now, and I really want to see it. Um, but after I see that movie, there's really not going to be much else. It
Dude,
just sucks. Movie theaters are losing money and
$30.
they're struggling.
They can just release it for $30 on Disney Plus. You know.
Yeah, I think people would buy $30 or pay.
Yeah, but it
$30.
has to be a good movie, Charlie, not Mulan.
Yeah. Well, speaking of streaming services, we will talk about that in the next segment. Wrapping this up, now let's join Maggie this week for the MCTV Game Show Spectacular.
Hi everyone, I'm Maggie Roach, and I'm your host for MCTV's Game Show Spectacular. Today I'm at Poets Walk, which is about 30 minutes away from the mayor's campus. It's very historical, it's a place where poets walked, and today midterm grades come out, so instead of looking at my phone, I'm enjoying my time in nature. And today we're going to be doing a nature scavenger hunt. So let's go! Firstly, find something that looks haunted. Next, some local wildlife, preferably a dog. Third, find a bridge. That shouldn't be too hard around here. Next, a tree stump. Some rocks made to look like a wall. A well-lit path, a symmetrical leaf, a tree that could be old, a leaf that represents how you feel, a bench that you won't sit on. The final step is to find the parking lot. Now you would think this would be the easy one, but it's actually the most difficult. That's it for today. See y'all next week.
And we're back. For our last panel topic, we just talked about movie theaters. Now we're going to talk about the alternative, streaming services. With the whole COVID pandemic, streaming services have, kind of, they've been making a lot of money lately because everyone's stuck at home. Streaming services are pretty much the only way to watch movies nowadays, unless you want to go to drive-in theater. Let's talk about them. What are some services that you guys are subscribed to or are watching, using?
I mean, personally, I'm on everything. Disney Plus, Netflix, Hulu, Marist provides HBO.
Yeah.
I mean, well, on CBS or NBC, which I suppose are streaming services now, I guess, if you want to watch The Office or Parks and Rec. But no, I mean, I think using a streaming service is a huge part of my life that I do pretty much every day. Yeah. Gosh, it's kind of weird to look back on now.
Yeah, I pretty much have every streaming service too. I have let's see, I have Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, HBO Max, Amazon Prime, Showtime. Oh man, I have someone just said that I can use their CBS All Access account, so I could use that if I wanted to. Oh, I have so much. What about you, Zach? What are some of your favorites?
Well, I got Netflix, I got Hulu. Of course, we all have HBO. But if I'm being completely honest with you, Netflix is my main beat. I can't stand Hulu. I can't stand the ads. Even if you get Hulu Plus with live TV, you still get advertisements when you watch shows or movies that aren't even live, So I'm not a huge fan of Hulu. Honestly, I could take it or leave it at this point. The only reason I have Hulu is so that I can watch the NBA. Finals are going. Let's go Lakers. But I stick with Netflix for now. There's the ability to binge for such a long time. Is just gold, especially when you're a Peaky Blinders fan, such as myself. However, another streaming service has taken my heart recently, and that is Amazon Prime. With the second season of The Boys coming out, I cannot get enough of it, and I cannot stop rewatching it. And they have skippable ads, so I can watch an ad if I want to, or I can skip it if I want to. Other than that, HBO Max, I've been watching a lot of True Detective and Raised by Wolves, which is also really good. But everything else, I'm not been watching that much. Hulu, I honestly can't take.
Yeah, I will agree with you on Hulu. Hulu is kind of annoying with the ads. I mainly only use Hulu to watch Seinfeld, and then it used to be I used to watch Rick and Morty on there. But now that Rick and Morty is on HBO Max too, and it's ad free there, I'll just watch it there if I want to.
There's no reason to watch Rick and Morty on Hulu anymore. Yeah. I mean, Hulu's becoming the blockbuster of streaming services.
They do got some good shows on there, but I don't know. I just haven't had the time to watch them all because right now I'm focused on The Boys season 2, and I cannot wait for that finale this week. Oh, that last cliffhanger left us off.
It looks so good.
Really surprising. Yeah. And then HBO Max, I'm loving right now. I gotta check out Raised by Wolves because that looks good. But what else was I watching? I'm just getting to The Sopranos now. I never watched it before. They have the whole series on HBO Max now. That's really good. But yeah, I think HBO Max is like one of my new favorites. Like it's coming up there with Netflix. Netflix always used to be like my main, but I have not used Netflix in a while. I used it a lot over quarantine, but now I think it's mostly HBO Max and Amazon.
I have to say though, HBO Max does have a lot of issues in terms of playing stuff on like my computer or on my PlayStation. Sometimes the app just kind of like runs out, or it just kind of stops playing everything and then just completely shuts down. And I think HBO Go had that problem when we had it the past few years, where it just it's definitely a first world problem. It's not a huge concern, but all of a sudden the app would just kind of just right in front of me, and I'd be like, okay, I wanted to finish that episode, but I guess I'll just wait.
Weird.
But I agree. HBO Max is definitely a top contender.
Yeah. Pretty soon Disney Plus will be a top contender once Mandalorian comes out. I'll be watching that every week.
See, that's my issue with Disney Plus. They don't have any of those better like newer shows coming out. They only have them coming out every blue moon, literally every season, every winter, spring, fall, summer. You don't see any bingeable shows. Like The Mandalorian's good, but the shows the episodes are long. I'm not gonna watch it over and over and over again unless I'm going on a Star Wars binge and I just can't get enough of it. So Disney Plus is nice, but a lot of their shows that they keep advertising or saying, you need to watch this.
They're not here.
The live action Lion King, Mulan, that just wasn't good. They try to rope us in with the stuff that just isn't appealing.
Yeah, Disney Plus is only good if you want to watch like older movies, like all the older Star Wars movies, and like the occasional new show that they have. I think we were supposed to get.
And how many times have we all watched Star Wars?
Yeah. I mean, I think we were supposed to get Falcon and Winter Soldier by now, but like that kind of got pushed back due to COVID. And I think we are getting WandaVision later this year. So they're starting to put out some new shows. Anyway, I think that just about wraps it up. Thank you very much, Zach and Charlie, for hopping on the panel this week. Now, stick around for MCTV's bi-weekly update with Abby and Val.
Hi, welcome back to the bi-weekly updates where we talk about the most important news. I am Val Cervello, as you know, and this is Abby.
Hello, I'm Abby Forrester. I'll be hosting alongside Val for the rest of these episodes.
As you all know, during the presidential debate, things got pretty intense that some people could have sworn they were watching a bunch of kids fighting over who got to get the last slice of pizza at a birthday party. Sadly, it was our current president and Democratic candidate, Joe Biden, who were fighting about literally anything else but pressing issues happening in the country. 2 days after the debate, it was reported that President Trump and his wife Melania had tested positive for corona, right after Trump laughed and mocked Biden for constantly wearing a mask during this current pandemic. To all those people who manifested for this to happen, could you also manifest I get good grades this semester? Thank you. But the craziest part to me was the fact that 4 hours after it had been reported that the president had mild symptoms, he was seen being taken to a hospital on a helicopter. Could you imagine if every time you didn't want to go to school and do work, you could get on a helicopter to avoid it all? A dream. Anyways, today it was reported that the president was being released from the hospital, and he even tweeted that he was in fact feeling really good to not be afraid of COVID, and that he feels a lot better than he did 20 years ago. Well, one thing I know for a fact is that 20 years ago, he didn't have the stress of owing $750 in taxes. Anyways, I'm so glad that the bleach he chugged during the time in this hospital did in fact help.
Following up on the California wildfires, the biggest fire in a series of fires has now been deemed a gigafire. The fire has burned at least 1 million acres and is the largest wildfire on record. This is just one of 24 major wildfires in the Golden State right now. 2020 has had a record-breaking 4 million acres burned in 2020 alone, and at least 31 people have died as a result. Scientists are worried about the health of our nation as the dangerous air pollution settles over the states. The wind has also carried smoke to the east. Earlier this September, the fog and low temperature over Poughkeepsie showed us just how far the effects of these fires reached. It should be noted that Oregon, Washington, and Colorado has also seen intense wildfires this year. These wildfires have been caused by poor forestry, urban development, and climate change. So it doesn't seem like wildfires will be stopping anytime soon.
In other news, some of the most anticipated films of this year have been postponed to come out late next year. This includes films such as Dune, The French Dispatch, and the new Batman movie starring Robert Pattinson. Instead of having Dune come out on its set date, December 18, 2020, Warner Bros. Has moved it to the new date, October 1st, 2021. This year will be the first year without the release of a new Timothée Chalamet movie since 2014. Please keep all the Timmy Sands in your prayers, myself included. Also, the Batman has also been said to be releasing the exact same day as Dune. Movie lovers, I recommend you all start saving money in order to watch both of these the same weekend. But the release dates could also change, so I'll definitely be keeping an eye out for that.
Well, hopefully we'll get to see one of those movies because NASA is reporting that an asteroid is headed towards Earth, and it may hit the day before Election Day. I didn't think season 6 of Black Mirror would be this eventful, but here we are. Luckily, we don't have to prepare for our doom. NASA says the asteroid has a 41% chance of hitting our atmosphere, but it's a small asteroid coming in at 6.5 feet. And scientists say these types of encounters are not too rare. In fact, the closest non-impact asteroid on record that has ever flown by Earth passed us just last week.
Well, that's it for our bi-weekly update. Thanks for watching. For more news, catch us in 2 weeks for more important news. Once again, I'm Val Cervello.
And I'm Abby Forrester.
We'll see you next time.
All right, that's all the time we have for tonight. I want to thank our panelists, Zach and Charlie, for joining us, and Ani Stein for coming on the show for an interview. You can see our show on our YouTube page at MCTVHD, and don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. For Studio A, I'm Tyler McGuigan. Have a good night, everybody.